Hey, maybe we're up and running. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to check my signal here to see if it's true that we are live. Got some quick social media posts to kick out since we just got the link of where we're live. And then we're going to work on Theros Piety for D&D. So give me a moment here to check my signal. Piety for D&D.
See if we're coming through okay.
Work on
Theros
Piety for D&D.
See if we're coming through okay. That sounds okay. Let's drop that down there to keep it out of the way. Grab a link here so we can do the social media posts. So give me a moment here while I go through that process. Clickety click. Let's grab this here and let's see. Do the posts. This takes less than a minute, so if you're catching me in the future, you can skip ahead to after the bump. But if you're trapped here in space time with me here and now, allow me to regale you with my origin story and introduction. My name is Phil Kearney. Hey, what's up? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I'm creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I publish on the DMsGuild now using the 2024 mechanics that have been created. I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a Magic the Gathering enthusiast since 1994. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999, and I've been creating content on DMsGuild since 2018. The first thing that I created was the first thing I published on my own on DMsGuild was the Color Mana Spell Point variant rules. There's a link to it in the description down below. It's a stack of books. They're all heavily discounted, and they're also 100% free preview. When WotC finally started creating campaign settings for D&D in 2016, starting with Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, there's a lot of anticipation around we're going to see the color mana system converted into the 5e game engine, because that's how WotC used to operate with new settings and new exotic options for their game. They would publish the book and they create unique rules that go with it to make that book feel different from other campaign settings, but that creates division in the base between MTG versus Spelljammer versus Planescape versus Forgotten Realms versus Eberron. There's a lot of division that can happen in there, and the 5e philosophy currently is to minimize that division. So when they started creating first Ravnica, then Strixhaven and Theros, as these books came out, they stayed inside of the tools of the Vancian magic system of the 5e game engine, and didn't make mention of any kind of color mechanics or mana system at all. Just let that go. Which was sour grapes to people like myself that are big fans of both D&D and MTG, so that inspired the creation of the color mana system. It's on the DMsGuild, and we continue to expand that project, and as we now move into 2024, it's a chance for us to implement a lot of the observations that we've had about how to make the system work better since its first release in 2018. We've been using it in multiple campaigns, from level 1 to 20, as well as shorter vignette campaigns. But we've learned a lot. We've been slowly trying to introduce some of those ideas into the books that create. But it's since the subclasses and the character classes and background and all that stuff has changed so much for 2024, it's a great opportunity for us to take basically all that stuff, glam it up, and then translate all the books that currently exist. All the books are going to remain as they stand. You'll always be able to download them as previous options from older edition. But with this new 2024 book, we're going to update the core mechanics. We're going to update Knights and Tricksters. We're going to update. We'll probably make words about the universal spell points and high magic system. We're going to update spell point warlocks. We need to address elemental keys separately, but we're also going to add martial powers. We're going to add spell point sorcerers, spell point artificers, and then we're going to do little setting books for Ravnica and Strixhaven and Theros separately, utilizing both the renown, credits, and piety system that we're currently working on today. But also, once we have our Bastion campaign published and the Martial Powers book published, we'll have a strong core of converting all of 2024 into the MTG paradigm. So, like with the release of like the Theros expansion, we'll be able to have both the Theros Piety system that we're working on today, but we'll also be able to take all the races of Theros and translate them into mana fuel, so that like if you're playing a Johnny, you would have perhaps like the ability to like expend mana to boost the damage or distance with a pounce, for instance. Or like in Ravnica, the Minotaur having horns as a natural weapon, be able to put mana into a charge attack, or like doing extra damage with your horns, stuff like that. So taking things like Dragonborn being able to breathe fire, expend mana to regain uses of breathing that fire, so that can become your primary AoE weapon if you're playing like a martial character. So that's a bit beyond scope. Scope sprawl is a problem when you're producing new ideas to drop into books. Where do you draw the line on how far are you delving into stuff? So I think I want to keep the current format of the books that already exists as they stand, and then just use this opportunity just to create like a $3 Theros book that if you buy it with the bundle, it's only $1. Stuff like that. I have all these different lost leaders. And I just like making books, and honestly, the smaller they are, the faster we can churn them around. So having like a book of Theros, book of Ravnica, book of Strixhaven, having those 3 separate pieces allows us to introduce the Piety system and the Theros races in the Theros expansion. In Strixhaven, we'll have the college credit system, which includes bastions, Strixhaven bastions perhaps, as well as the new races that are in Strixhaven. And it would make a really good place for us to drop the Mage Tower rules that we'll be developing here on stream when we finish with Piety. And then for Ravnica, the 10 guilds, bastions for the 10 guilds, the renown system, and the racial conversion. But we can, and then of course backgrounds, Ravnica backgrounds, Strixhaven backgrounds, and there's no real specific backgrounds to Theros. It's just Theros is just a different setting. But I think that's probably enough intro. So let me switch my screens around and just say, if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications so when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books I've made on the DMsGuild already. They all have thorough free previews, so be welcome to explore these things. If you think they're cool, pick them up. Join my Discord server, ask questions, make your own builds, implement this stuff. We're looking for people that are willing to not only play in play tests for this stuff, but are also interested in DMing these ideas. And to scrape together a team off of my Discord or off of your home table that like wants better Bastion rules. Maybe what we offer you like, the spell point system that we have, the martial power system that we have, the Spelljammer mechanics that we use. The skill check challenge, the skill check ability casting that we have in the Theurgy book. All these things are designed to work separately or together, depending on how far down the rabbit hole people want to dive with these creations. So stick around. Thanks a lot for being here. All right, so I'm going to adjust my screen. Let's drop this down here. Yeah. And if you want to tag along today, this is a read-only playtest document that we have for the martial power and color mana playtest content upgrading to 2024. If you pop that open, you can join me down on page 238 to look at where we are at with the Piety, with Theros Piety so far, and playlists for all my older stuff. This is a sprawling project we've been working on over a year at this point. And then we have the Piety system inside the Mythic Odysseys of Theros for us to be able to start peeling apart how is Piety being expressed amongst these different gods that all have specific color identities. So here's our basic framework for Piety. I don't know if we're going to implement all of these things, but things that I'm looking at implementing is when you hit these different points of Piety, and Piety represents how much devotion do you have. In the Theros book, it's how much devotion do you have to a specific god. But we're kind of expanding the idea and converting it to, through the gods you worship, which color
do you have most devotion to, which is more in line with how the Magic the Gathering cards actually work. Here, let's actually, since we're on the topic, let's go pull that up. Let's pull up Theros enchantment creatures, and then let's go to Gatherer. Let's see, and let's go to Athreos, for example. There should be an Athreos. Where is it? Okay, instead let's go to, say, Nylea. Actually, I could probably find it faster this way if I just type in Nylea. Nylea, God of the Hunt. Legendary enchantment card. So, Nylea is the god of green. How does this card work? It's a legendary enchantment card. Indestructible. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature. Other creatures you control have trample. 4 mana. Target creatures get +2/+2 until end of turn. So this is just a global enchantment. I can tap 4 mana. Target creatures get +2/+2 until end of turn. While this card is active, the card itself is indestructible, which means it can't be destroyed in any way. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, it's not a creature. It remains this enchantment. Let's see its conversion. God of the Hunt. Let's see, indestructible, rule set. Where's the flip? There's supposed to be a conversion for this. Where's the converted? Nylea, God of the Hunt. This is supposed to flip. Once your devotion reaches so devotion is defined as each green mana in the mana cost of permanents you control counts towards your devotion to green. So if I had 5 elves that are 1 green mana each to bring onto the battlefield, I would have 5 devotion in green. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature, but I want to make... hold on, let's see. Rule set of the creatures control of trample. That's right, and then once you get to 5, then you don't flip the card, it just simply becomes a 6/6 creature. That's the words I need there. And she herself is indestructible. So the card's indestructible, and she becomes indestructible as well. And cool, everything's good in my world. Okay, so that was the point. And then looking at the God card, here's another narrative point. She's huge. She's hundreds of feet tall because she is a goddess. And you're summoning her to the battlefield. It takes 4 mana to get her onto the battlefield. And then it takes 5 mana to convert her. So one of the ideas that we have... Sorry, that was a little difficult to walk through. So one of the ideas we have here is as your character gains piety, it's effectively every 3 points of piety is representing like your devotion to, in this instance, green magic. So as you, in the pantheon of green magic in Magic the Gathering is Nylea, Karametra, Crofix, Faraka, and Xenagos. These Nylea is the greater god who is only devoted to green, and then each of these lesser gods are like a Ravnica or Strixhaven dual color. So Karametra is white-green, Crofix is blue-green, Faraka red-green, white, blue, Faraka black, and Xenagos red-green. That should be how it sits out. So we'll be able to verify. I'll verify all that as we go through the system, make sure I have the colors stacked correctly, because I don't know all the names and color combinations by heart yet. I'm learning them. But the idea then is that as we gain more piety in that particular color, you can gain this piety by doing works. adventuring or offering sacrifices to Nylea, Karametra, Kravix, all the gods. There's 5 gods in that pantheon. So the green pantheon is here. Here's a red pantheon, black pantheon, blue pantheon, white pantheon. And as you gain more piety in these particular in any particular color, you gain more benefits of that color. And we're going through the process of right now of defining what that actually means, because each god grants different gifts. But like Athreos, for example, I believe is a mix of what, white and red, I believe. White and black. Yeah, Athreos is white and black. So the things that Athreos gets would logically guide us to look towards Athreos is giving us things that are white and black in flavor. So worshiping Athreos, looking at the champions of Athreos' favor, here's the benefits of earning that piety. So we'll look at this, we'll break it down, and then we'll see what direction is that taking us, and how can we then translate that into, like, Athreos gives us these things. We're seeing commonalities between Athreos, Erod, Karametra, Ephara, and Heliod. So those common ideas that we see are aspects of white magic that we should make, as you gain piety, expand on that aspect of magic. And then, since Athreos is also black, we'll see perhaps commonalities between these 5 gods, and then be able to extract from that, these are aspects of black magic that we can then build a scale out of increasing. One thing I know for sure, though, is the enchantment that we want. So I think one of the mechanics, what I want to be able to do is, since all characters are utilizing a mana system, once the martial power system is published, all characters will have mana as the foundation of how their characters function. And so as characters' piety increases, I'm gonna fix my screen. This should be in a separate layer, so it doesn't get in the way of anything. And then we have the reference document, and then we have our active space. Okay, cool. We got everything set up now. As we gain higher levels of piety, we become closer to the gods that are in that pantheon. So, akin to the card that we were looking at. Right. So, akin to the art on the card, as our characters gain higher ranks of piety, we can expend mana to basically cast an enchantment, like a green enchantment that would be Nylea or any of the other gods, that basically creates a non-creature sort of bubble effect on our characters, an emanation that as we gain piety in higher levels, that emanation becomes a larger effect, kind of like how the innate sorcery feature of sorcerers now change how that character operates, or like how for barbarians rage changes how your character operates, or like the blade singer, when you're actively blade singing, you gain these alternate benefits. So too would we have an enchantment system that as your piety increases, you get this aura that gives you benefits that will stack as we gain levels. And also the aura will expand in size. And I believe what will happen is at 9th level, once we hit this point, we'll actually be able to summon our god, like an avatar of our god, to become a summonable creature that we can command. And it can either use its magic to benefit our team, or it can just simply be a brute that can tank stuff and make combat. And so using the Spelljammer mechanics that we have, and thinking about Nyx as the afterlife, the space that the that mortals traverse to end up in the afterlife. It's traveling through the Nyx, and you could look at Nyx as a type of wild magic. So that would mean that the gods all have realms in wild space, or the Nyx, what they call their kingdoms, that characters could potentially travel to directly on barges a la Spelljammer ships. And from the Spelljammer series, we know that none of the ships that they offer in the player's hand, in the Spelljammer's guide, no ship are larger than 250 feet in size. So we introduced fighter mechanics and vessel rules for expanding sizes of ships from being rocket cycles in a 10-foot area, like occupying a 10-foot space like a horse, to rocket cycle that goes all the way up in size to the 250 or even up to 500-foot ships. So similarly, these enchantments scale in size. So initially it's just a 10-foot, it's basically a 10-foot emanation, or it's like a point that you summon, and within 10 feet of that you would gain the benefit of whatever your enchantment will allow you at that level of piety. And as we continue to scale up, it goes from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet, and at this point it would then jump to 100 feet, 150 feet, 200, and 250 feet. So that this aura effect that we're creating, this enchantment, would be able to encapsulate an entire ship that you would potentially use to travel to the different realms of the gods through the Nyx. And then on top of that, starting at 9th level, we'll actually be able to physically incarnate that aura to manifest as an avatar of our patron god. And then from there, it can continue to scale up from 50 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, 200, 250 feet in size, which reflects the kaiju and war mech mechanics that we've been developing as an expansion of our Spelljammer mechanics of creating creatures and humanoid machines or monstrosities, aberrations, celestials, dragons, demons, elementals that scale up to these colossal sizes. And I actually have a video called Mega Kaiju, the Space Kraken. You can check that out on my channel. It's one of the actual recorded videos that I did last year. And it talks about scaling creatures. In that example, it was a 1,500-foot kraken that was attacking the Rock of Brawl, eating eating acres of forest and crops that were supposed to both keep the air envelope and food supply stable for the Rock of Brawl, is now being attacked by this 1,500-foot space squid. So the encounter was assemble a fleet to drive off the kraken. And if you're unsuccessful, send your team in specifically to hit the soft spots to freak the fish out, so it would run away under the press of your assault, operating at this 500-foot scale. So similarly, with that same system in mind, we could manifest gods that are 250 feet in size. So we can actually have this art that's being depicted here. This would be like a 51st piety summoning of Nylia to fight battles with you. So if you wanted to, we could then implement the Spelljammer rules to then have our characters, while they're in the aura of their summoned god, can use their action economy to have the god haunt and act on behalf of the character team, same as we do for Spelljammer. So that's a fun idea that makes the gods that much more visceral for your campaigns, and to make them basically a war machine that you could use against other gods. So as you scale up in levels, other NPCs would be able to manifest incarnations of the god that they're worshiping that is opposing you or attacking you or slighting your goals. So you'd have these layers of mob monsters, low-level stuff. You'd have shamans and boss fight type stuff. And then you would also have their collective energy working together to summon the god that empowers them to basically change the scale of battle to move into this divine space, utilizing either the Nyx as like sidestepping into the ether or the astral plane, or to physically manifest on the battlefield in like a city assault that has 500-foot squares to create the arena of the city, and then have these gods at the 200-foot scale or whatever, essentially being small-sized creatures inside that 500-foot space, attacking like Atropos or whatever city it is that you're messing around with. So those are some of the ideas. Other ideas is to just give you a flat benefit, like the epic boons that we now have in the player's handbook. That's another way to be able to stack on effects, and depending on what we discover about how each color is being represented throughout the piety system, we'll be able to determine that. And then on top of that, we could do things like for every 3 points of piety, you can now gain a spell. You can either gain a spell or convert a spell into the color of your devotion. So if we're still talking green here, once you get 3 points of green piety into your system or into your character, you can take any spell that is on your character's spell list that would not normally be green, and when you prepare it because of your devotion to your god, for you it would become a green spell. So you could actually operate on multiple fronts. Like Mogus, for example, is both black and red mana. So if you wanted to devote piety through Mogus to black and or red, as you scale up your piety in a color, say through Mogus, then you could have more spells be black or red, or if you build them both up, both. So that's an idea. And then gaining bonus powers from the martial power system. It's a half casting system, so it only actually goes up to 4th rank by 13th level. So stacking on effects there is pretty easy. We could also do things like for every 9 points of devotion that you have, you can sustain an additional rank of power. One of the effects could be like while you're inside the enchantment of your god, it covers the cost of concentration for you for this spell, like this level spell effect that you have active. There's a lot of neat ways we can manipulate this piety energy that we're using with magic, and since all of the spells and powers are broken down into individual colors, like if I wanted to maintain foresight, foresight's a 9th level spell. We could have our 9th level, our 51 points of devotion to blue magic, then be able to sustain a foresight, like be able to cast foresight or like have foresight for all the characters while they're within the area occupied by their summoned enchantment. So then it would be a matter of summoning the enchantment. Maybe it'd be a hit dice pool that we burn instead of mana. By 51 piety, you probably have 17 levels, so that would mean that you'd be able to like summon at this level for 9 hit dice, or maybe like 9 hit dice, or maybe 9 mana. I don't know. We're gonna mess around with it to find out what feels balanced. But we want to do things for marshals and for casters that are the same. Casters get a lot more mana than marshals do, so that's not necessarily an automatic alignment there. But everyone gains the same amount of hit dice depending on their level. So using this system to summon your god's enchantments, and then later to then convert it into a creature that you're allied with, that feels like a hit dice sort of thing to do because everyone's working on that same mechanic. I like that idea. There's also the idea of burning down piety. Like you have 51 points of piety, and it costs like 25. It costs 25 of it to fully summon your god spirit at this rank, and like it'd be 5 per rank. 25 here, and then like here it'd be 20, and then here it would be 15, 10, and then 5 down here. And like once you burn it, you have to like perhaps like the Visionaries cartoon. Once you use it, you have to go and you have to make a new sacrifice at a temple appropriate for the color that you burned to be able to regain the ability to summon that god. So it wouldn't even be like on a long rest that you would gain it back. It would be on a trip, going there and sacrificing the appropriate amount of treasure, experience, mana, whatever it is that we figure out, and to expend that to be able to regain this ability, which is you can use it once, and once you do, it's gone until you go back and refresh. And so using a Bastion system, you could set up a temple of green mana, so that you could restore your own piety inside your bastion. And since we use a 5-rank system in our bastion campaign, it could be suitable like when you have a temple established inside of your bastion, depending on the rank of the temple, 1 to 5, that's the level of piety that it can restore to your characters. So you'd be able to use it, and it'd be like a week of devotion, of prayer and meditation in the temple restores your ability to summon your god's avatar. And so that would require a week of downtime activity in your temple of your bastion to be able to restore that. Or that effectively turns all temples into a bastion that has that facility available, that if you have the appropriate amount of piety to that god at that temple, or allied colors of that god, or colors that represent that god, as long as those are present, you would then be able to have access to that god. So something like that. So that's the idea. So that's plenty of that's plenty of preamble. Let's just let's get into it and start breaking shit down. So let's see. Let's take all this and let's punt it upstairs here. And I don't necessarily expect this process to be fast. I'm just going through the process to see what we can discover about it, like what information is here for us to discover that can help guide these design decisions. And so that is our right now we are just doing exploration and analysis. So we're just grabbing stuff. So let's go to Heliod. We'll start with Heliod. And so let's kick down to Heliod. God of the Sun. So specifically right now, let's just look at the benefits that we get. And then we can look at ways of sacrificing and worshiping Heliod. That 15 gods is a lot of fucking gods to worry about for a campaign. It's a little overbearing. Just like there's 12 houses in Eberron with all the dragon marks, you generally want to limit your palette. Not have all 12 of them fighting stuff in each other during your campaign. It's too diluted, it's too much. Generally you want to take a slice of Ravnica guilds, or you want to take a slice of dragon mark houses in Eberron, or you want to take a slice of the gods of Theros and limit your palette. Using a color language example there, you want to limit your palette to like maybe red, green, and blue. Like those are the only colors you're going to mess with right now. That means that in red, green, and blue, like you're going to be dealing with Gruul, you're going to be dealing with Simic, and you're going to be dealing with Izet, for example. And then tangentially, maybe you'll see some Boros or Boros or Rakdos influence. Perhaps you'll see some Selesnya stuff coming in. But the primary, but the triad that you would most likely see interest in is Gruul attacks, Simic expansion, and or Simic subversion, and is that expansion. Like that would be the themes of that Ravnica campaign, for instance. So I don't know Theros gods well enough to be able to speak offhand like that, but I'm pretty good with Strix and I'm pretty good with Ravnica, and I'm learning Theros to be able to have that kind of narrative in the future as well. So having said all that, blah de blah. Champions, anything that we need here? Nope. Let's just keep skipping down. Favored. This describes how you're marked as being favored by Heliod. Devotion to Heliod. Ideals. This is for when we had backgrounds that would have an ideal that you would want to align with the god that you're a champion for, if that's a decision that you decided to utilize. Carrying out punishment on a fugitive. Okay, so you increase your piety score from Heliod when you expand the god's influence in the world in a concrete way through acts such as these. Carrying out punishment. So when you're looking at Heliod being the greater god of white magic, these things would assumedly automatically advance your piety in white magic. That seems to make sense. Other gods like Athreos, that is both white and black, then when you advance the goals of that god, as you gain piety, you would choose white or black. I don't necessarily know if I want to worry about breaking down earning and losing piety by color specifically, or if I want to leave that link to the gods in general. But let's start looking at some commonalities here. Hero's Blessing manifests as a nimbus around the affected character, causing them to shed dim light in a 5-foot radius until the spell ends. You can cast Hero's Blessing manifests as a nimbus, causing them to shed dim light. Cast Bless, thank you. So 3 equals Bless. This system only has 4 ranks, and we have 5. So it would most likely align here, and then 50. 39 is, I don't know, because it doesn't really exist, but these are the corresponding ranks otherwise. So this is the stance we're going to be coming from. Votary, Daylight at piety 10 plus. It's Daylight, Blessed, then Daylight. And then Blazing Radiance of the Sun. You have advantage on saving throws against being blinded. And you have resistance to fire damage. ADV versus blind, and resist fire. And then finally we have kill that straight strength or wisdom. There. Okay, so those are the things that Heliod generally brings to the table. It's a start. So the next step then. Next. Theros. This should work. Kitty. There we go. So we're just going to go through this process. I'm just going to break this down. And then we'll start analyzing this stuff together. Look at what we see. Inside how we convey, comprehend languages. No material components. The number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. Advantage on charisma, ADV, Ka in city, Mord, private, sanctum, long rest, and then enter Ka. Obvious pattern is appearing here at the upper level. That's cool. That's what we want. We want patterns. We want patterns that we can replicate and modify. We want them to be identifiable and easy. Who's next? Athreos.
Cast General Repose. Speak with Dead. Once per long rest. False Life. With additional HP. Let's see. Bolster yourself. Gain D4. +4 temporary hit points at first level. And then another 25 is an additional 5. So that's effectively when you cast this spell using a second level or higher spell slot, 5 per spell level. So that's effectively a 6th level spell. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Gentle Repose, thank you. Cast Gentle Repose. Then we cast Speak of Dead. And then we get cast False Life. 6th level. 39 we skip. 50 is Interwiz. +2. So I'm getting a theme here that white kind of jives. Oh no, wait, it's not there for it's int charisma, int wiz. As far as blue, so I can see. Strength. Let's see if, like, currently wisdom is shown up twice and intelligence is shown up twice. So let's see if there's a common hidden theme here we see about color identity with stats. Eros. Crusader's Mantle. Again, Paladin benefit 1 minute. As a bonus action, you can call on a Rose and gain the Paladin benefit for 1 minute or until you're incapacitated. Within 30 feet of you can't gain advantage. No ADV, 30 feet. That's neat. Wait, Crusader's Mantle should have been here. This should have been Compelled Duel. Thank you. For 1 minute. Cast Crusader. Cast Compelled Duel. Crusader's a very white spell. Compelled Duel is a very red spell, emotion based. Strength or Ka. Plus. We've seen Int twice. We've seen Wisdom twice. We've seen Charisma twice. And we've seen Strength twice. Huh. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like there's any obvious patterns there. Karametra, how convenient. Champion. Devotee. Cast, create, food, H2O. And by performing an hour-long ritual, you can conjure enough grapes to fill 3 vials of wine. Each vial serves as a potion of healing. Create 3 times pot of heal. Then, no, that's the pot of heal. Create food and water was at 10. I keep missing it. Harvest bonus action, evoking protection. Special plants cover you, providing you with +1 bonus. AC for 1 minute. Huh.
Gain +1 AC for 1 minute. Question mark. And we end up with Connor Wiz. Maybe a I'm thinking things through. I'm thinking the avatar, avatar enchantment that you can summon of your particular god. So having specific preference for having devotion to a specific god. Having piety with a specific god grants you devotion to colors related to that god, one or the other, white or whatever, white or green in the case of Karametra. But then keep the individual bonuses that we have here, and then just flesh it out with the 39 spot. Excuse me. Yeah, and then for the color conversion, if you're a Karametra fan, then it would be you'd be gaining when you prepare a spell, it can automatically be white or green. Heliod would obviously be white specifically, but this would allow you to make have each of the minor gods be able to bend themselves so that they can give you devotion to either of their colors. That kind of leaves so if the I'm mincing over this because it seems like having minor gods be able to offer devotion to 2 colors is better than being only able to offer devotion to 1 color. But it's technically not, because if you want to have, say, both white and green mana in your mana pool, you're dividing your mana pool. So it's less universal. Heliod automatically makes your mana more towards being universal. As Karametra, I could just lean into white mana, advancing all my stuff as white. But if I want to retain a dual color identity, I could pick up a 5th level spell, make it green, a 3rd level spell, make it white, 2nd level spell, make it green, 1st level spell, make it white, 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th, 9th level spell, make them white. However I want to bend my pool, I could bend my pool that way. And with the yeah, because like the Warlock pack mana counts as 1 color, while Mystic Arcana mana counts as a different color. So that even works out with a Warlock. At the lower levels, you would be advancing your pack mana spell alignments, and then once you flip into 11th plus, you would be using their other color. Meanwhile, Heliod has only 1 color. So narratively, it would just look like 1 mana. It's the way that the mana system works is mana that you gain, mana that you can recover on a short rest can't be used to cast spells of level 6 or higher. To be able to cast 6 level spells plus, you have to expend mana that you gain on a long rest. So a bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, and wizard, and of course the incoming scion, those all are full casters from level 1 to 9. All of their mana in their mana pool is built on long rest, so they could burn out. I mean, they still have a limit on how many high magic spells they can cast, but you don't have to worry about how much of my mana pool is available for high rest, for high magic versus just short rest mana that I can use on common magic. Meanwhile, the Warlock has that divide where you're gaining 1 point of short rest mana per level. So does the monk. using the martial power system. So do the half casters and all the marshals. They all get mana on a short rest. The original version of the color mana system has half casters on long rest mana, like gaining 2 points of mana per level, ending with 40 mana at 20th level, while a full caster gets 80 mana, starts with 2 mana and ends up getting 80 mana by 20th level. And the sorcerer ends up with 3 points at first level and ends with 100 points at 20th level. So having Heliod or any single color god, technically the way that you describe that separation between short rest and long rest is by switching up the colors, but we don't really have to switch up the colors. It's not required. You just have to keep a note of, here's my mana pool, X of it is from short rest, so you have separate. Bring that in. Where am I at? Thank you. This is actually a good teachable moment. Let's grab here. Let's go down to the color mana spell list real quick. Again, if you can click on this, you can check it out. All these books have free previews. Let's go down to the core mechanics book and then click on the free preview. So total mana recovered at the end of a short rest. So we'd have a pool here. So what we would end up wanting to do is convert this, break up the total mana. We would want to break this into long rest and short rest to eliminate this box. Sorcery points are being folded into the mana, so there's no separation of sorcery points. So it would just simply be long rest and short rest mana pools. And then max spell level. High magic, how many times you can cast high magic spells. Otherwise, this flow chart still works pretty well. You dump your mana into here. Spells, when you're casting a spell that requires concentration, you tap it and it remains tapped until you lose concentration, at which point it becomes burned. If you have an instant spell or a persistent spell that lasts without concentration, then that mana gets burned right away. But concentration mana isn't actually burned until the spell effect ends. At that point, it becomes expended and you can regain it. So we're going to need to make some touch-ups to this mana flow chart, but overall it works pretty well. But yeah, we'll just be able to go in here and just, like I said, remove sorcery points and remove mana regained on a short rest. We could have the long rest mana here, and then like replace these boxes and just have like another box down here be short rest mana, and then have max spell level, and then total number of high magic. That would work. That would work, and then we can keep this as is. Yeah, easy peasy, barely an inconvenience. So the more we get into this, the more I'm thinking keep all the gods separate bonuses, because it does make them unique, and it increases diversity and interest, and lets you mold your character more towards where you actually want to be with your character. I don't hate those ideas. Do not hate those. Let's expand this and this. This. 3, 15, 27, 39, 51. kind of like that idea. That might actually work out. Hey, Samurai, how you doing? So I guess so if we're gonna keep individual piety for each god, the benefits that each god provides, that can stand. There's no need to change that. We do need to add in the next tier, the 39, because as we're seeing, the piety system, the Strixhaven, the piety system and the renown system from Theros and Ravnica respectively only have, in their system, it's 3, 10, 25, 50. But the way that we run it, it has, as you can see here, these 3 tiers. It's basically 3 mana or 3 piety, or in the case of Ravnica, it's renown, or in the case of Strixhaven, it's college credits. It's 3. It effectively becomes 3 per level. So you could either gain piety, this resource mechanic, you either gain the resources independent of your character's level and be able to get access to all these things, even though like you're only a first level character. You could have the campaign run until you're capable of gaining 51 or more piety with your god, thus being able to get access to this higher level magic stuff independently from your level. But conversely, if you don't want to worry about specific acts that you're performing to gain that piety on a separate track from your experience points, you can automatically gain 3 points of piety or renown or credits whenever you gain a level, so that you're automatically going to be pacing the campaign with the abilities that you're gaining. Like you can see here, Daylight, Speak with Dead, Crusader's Mantle, Create Food and Water. These are all 3rd level spells. So obviously at 15 points, that's appropriate for you to gain a 3rd level spell. False Life is technically a 6th level spell. I think Mordenkainen's Private Sanctum is also a 6th level spell. So that's a little off kilter because 27 times 3, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So that'll only be 5th level spells. So this is outranking a little bit. Let's verify. Let's verify real quick, Mordenkainen. I see text down there. Give me a second. I'll catch up with you. Let's look at Private Sanctum. Oh, it's only a 4th level spell. False Life is technically a 1st level spell, so we can scale that down to 5. Okay, yeah, maybe this will all work out after all. Meh, babadoo. Hey, what's up? We're supposed to have RP right now, but someone couldn't make it. Hey, right on. See, good and bad. I'm proud to have you. I'm glad that you view me as a worthwhile alternative to having a game bail on you. Scheduling, fuck all, dude. It's the worst. It's the worst ever. What kind of game were you playing? Were you playing a D&D or a different game? Let's just keep trucking through stuff just to see what we can see. Just make sure that the patterns are there. I think the system just got a lot easier by leaving God's particular bonuses in place, and then for the overall structure, using our devotion mechanic to convert spells when you prepare them based on the level that you've gained a piety. I think that works great. The divine boons we're already getting from our god, but we get to select new boons for each of the gods. I don't think we'll be getting to that today. And then we have the enchantment aura idea that we were talking about earlier on, about creating the dome effect that grants benefits to our characters. And then I don't know, man, maybe and then the size of the dome expanding as we gain piety, ranks in piety, and then I don't know, man. Yeah, we'll leave it separate. We'll leave that separate. I was thinking it would be awfully convenient for us to just I'm missing a sheet. Get out of here. It would be awfully convenient to shift these things to the 39 point, and then at the 27 point, have the ability to convert your enchantment aura into a summoned creature, the god, an avatar of your god. That would be awfully convenient to line up that way, but that's a universal feature that we're providing, so making it a universal feature to feed, I'd rather have a unique, distinct feature at 13th level that clicks in, like a high magic spell of some sort that clicks in that everyone can make use of. That feels better. So I'd rather do that. So, so we'll end up figuring out the enchantment, and then probably maybe we can make color effects for the enchantment. And then, of course, we'll have a stat block for the gods starting at 5th level and then beyond that. They can already get really big. You don't have to make them that big. They could be smaller, but this is the size that they could potentially expand and be represented as. If you want to do siege battle and stuff like that, and like grand scale mega kaiju battles between the gods, then this enchantment aura, enchantment creature aura ability gets us there easily. So tonight was masks. Oh, right on. I like that as a separate standalone mechanic. The divine boons come in. So this would be oops. Let's see. Converted spell level. So we can remove that and just go first. Second. Third. And it could be like up to. It would make a lot of sense. Boons, enchantment, and size. Great. We can just compress some space there. Fourth. Here. We're doing some button pressing today, folks. I suspect I'm going to need some time to cantanker what the 39th level benefit will be for each god, and as well as exactly like how the aura benefits operate. I don't know how much of that design stuff will. I don't know how many. I don't think I'm going to be dedicating future sessions like this specifically to noodling what those ideas will be. Instead, I think what will end up happening is I'll end up brainstorming those ideas off stream, and then once I come to a conclusion that I like, I'll do a follow-up episode that presents what those things are. But I'm going to continue through the flow process here to finish out the rest of the gods, since it doesn't really take that long for me to do that. Because I want to conclude working on PD, and I want to get into this. I want to get into Mage Tower. So you got Pathfinder tomorrow. Oh, right on. And Thursday this week, and I had some custom Pathfinder offshoot I'm working on yesterday. Might publish that sometime if I ever get. Nice, man. Very nice. So let's work our way through Thassa. Grab this and drag it over here. Kurnos,
Prefix. Phoenix. Erebos. Theros. Magus. Oh, that's not right. Magus should be red. Magus would be here. Is it Farika? I think Farika. No, I think Farika is blue, right? Yeah, these are all. Oh, these are alphabetical. God, what a dumb thing to do. These are all fucked up. So I need to. Athreos is black, so Phoenix goes here. And then Erebos. No, that's right. White is Athreos. And then Phoenix, I believe. That's white, blue, red, and then I think Farika is green. I'm gonna have to double check all these names. I'm gonna get them in here first, and then we'll rearrange them appropriately. Perforos. Yes, that's Keranos. No, that's right. Eros and Keranos and Mogus and Xenagos. And then Nylia. Metra. Prefix. Xenagos. Alright, I'm going to double check all these dudes real quick. Reopen. There. Ifara, white and blue, very good. So Ifara, white and blue, very good. Athreos. White and black. White, black, good to go. Eros is white and red. I already know that one because this is one of the few ones I actually know. And that means that Karametra is definitely white and green. So green, Karametra, white, very good. Next, Ifara already resolved. Let's check out Keranos, make sure we are right here. Blue and red. White. Black. Crufex, I think, is black then. Oh, Crufix. Blue and green.
Crufex blue, green, Carmetra, Crufix, good. So Phoenix should be blue black. Blue black. Let's fix Crufix real quick. There. And then Keranos should definitely be red. Blue red. Blue red. Okay, cool. So those check out now. Atheros, white black. We know that. Phoenix, blue black. Checks out. Mogus, I already know, is black red. Meaning Farika is green black. White, blue, black, red. 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 Okay, that checks out. Checks out. Checks out. Checks out. Checks out. Okay, cool. That's done. Easy peasy. Barely an inconvenience. All right, back to it. Let's see. All right, Thassa for now. Thassa champion. Thassa devotee. Come on, man. There. At 3, it is. Blink. There's Charm. Or Restrain. And then what stat do you get +2 in? I wonder. Interdex. That's 2. Fara. Comprehend languages. Really? Oh yeah, because we already did that. We already have a Fara here. As above. Oh yeah, we already did that. We already have a Fara. Carrot. 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 Phoenix. This isn't going to take nearly as long as I thought it would because I forgot how many of these are redundant. Devotion. Phoenix. Disguise self. And then ADV on any charisma check. 27. When you are hidden from a creature and miss with an attack, making the attack doesn't reveal your position. Remain hidden. If attack fails. That's a pretty cool benefit. It's really clever. Karanos, don't think we've seen him yet. Oh yeah, and then your high-end perk. What's your stat bonus? Dex or Ka? Dex or Ka +2. Alright, Karanos. Agents with return, control attack, you can deal an extra lightning damage. Deal +1 d6 attack. And then re-roll int or whiz. Seven. ADV on initiative. And then this one gets no spells at all. It's just subclass feature perks. That's interesting. That means I can go. That means I can dip into the fourth rank martial power stuff for the 39 piety. It's kind of exciting. And spellcasting. Energy of the storm fills your being. Interwiz. Int. Crewfix? I don't think I've done Crewfix yet, right? We're running out. Cast Detect Magic. Ten is Detect Thoughts. You can use your Mage Hand cantrip to protect yourself while your Spectral Hand is within 5 feet of you. You gain a +2 bonus to AC. Mage. That's really cool. Mage Hand acts as a shield. And then, that's really clever. And then, Con or Int, or Con or Int +2. I really like that Mage Hand being a +2 bonus armor class. That is really, really neat. Did that stack against ranged attacks specifically? Okay, that's fair. Still, you're basically wielding 2 shields with that. That's really cool. Erebos. Still, you're basically wielding 2 shields with that. See, really, really clever. Bane. Cast Bane. 10 is Vampiric Touch. Again, 15th Piety comes in at 3. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. 5 equals 3rd level spells. Vampiric Touch. Going crazy. Couldn't remember that. That's a little unlikely. 27. Let's see. When creature dies, reaction equals level THP. I'm just shorthanding this stuff just to make it fit. And then our boost is Con or Wisdom. Con or Wiz plus 2. Again, this 39 divided by 3 equals 13, which means that we could effectively give you a single casting of a high magic spell like level 6 or 7, or a 4th rank martial power. Any one of those would be appropriate for a 39 point, like use once per day or whatever. Let's see. Let's go. Well, let's just go down the line. Let's grab Perforos next. Just to cap these gods off, because we know they're each only once. And the rest of these minor gods are going to show up twice each. So there's technically only... Well, there's 10 of them. And we've done like 6 of them so far. So we're almost done with this process. We'll move on to the next part. Everything in steps. You just want to keep walking through the process. Shield of Faith. Interesting. Faith being represented as red. Heat metal, that's obvious. Maybe it's just a shield. Maybe it's because he's get a shield. While you're standing with, while you are standing and an effect would push you 1 or more feet, you can use your reaction to not be pushed. While standing, reaction equals no push. Or as we would say in the martial power system, forced movement. No forced movement. So this will probably come out after Martial Powers publishes. So once the Martial Powers does publish, we can integrate martial power ideas into the piety bonuses that we get, and you'll have that information available to you to make use of. So that makes sense. I like that. And then Strength of Rent. Oh, tired again already, huh, Kearney? We already have Eros. No, not Leah. Leah, champion, devotee, thank you. Hunter's Mark. Cast Hunter's Mark. Cast Hunter's Mark. That's cool. Stick with animal. When I failed save, the creature must choose a different target or the attack automatically misses. DC 15 Sanctuary versus beasts. Yeah, beast. And Dex or Wisdom. Dex or Wisdom plus 2. We're just shorthanding these things just to get them on the board, to see what they're offering, to see if there's anything interesting here that we can extract from these ideas. Karametra. I feel like Karametra is up top already, but has not been. There she is. Yep. And Krufix, I believe, has already been resolved as well. Black. Krufix, there he is. Under blue. There. And Farika, did we deal with Farika already? Where you at, girl? No, we have not.
Athreos we have though. And we dealt with blue already, so Phoenix is resolved. 1, 1. 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Mogus, we have not resolved. Okay, we hit our wall. So we need Mogus. We need Pharika. Yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Yeah, like 4 more. Yeah, and they'll be done. Cool, 4 more to go. So let's just resolve them and get it done. Let's see. Devotee. Wrathful Smite. Cast. Wrath Smite. Mogus. 25. You have advantage on saves. ADV versus Charm Fear. Third, Champion of Slaughter. No, that was 25. Blinding Smite. Oh, interesting. Cast Blinding Smite. That would be black energy coming at you. Wrath would be red energy coming at you. That makes perfect sense to me. And then, what, Strength and Con? Called it. I kind of know what I'm talking about around here, yeah? And then, Pharika. I like that name, Pharika. I think it's probably the coolest name. For me, I think Pharika is the coolest name in the set. Moving free, power of affliction, ray of sickness. Cast ray of sickness. And 10 is advantage on saving throws versus poisoned. ADV versus poison. Immune to disease. Well, thank you, Spell. I mean, Timely Timer. 25. Blessed Ravnica Balm. An action, you can touch a creature. Target regains hit points. Target must succeed a DC Constitution saving for 1 minute. The creature deals only half damage. Oh, that's interesting. Healing Balm. 1d8 plus d8 plus Wiz. Or Cursed with half damage. And then, let me guess. This one's black and green. Let's go with Wisdom and Constitution. Dexterity and Wisdom. Oh, well. Dex or Wiz plus 2. So that caps Pharika, that caps Mogi. That means that Karanov is taken care of, right? Yeah. Two, three, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,
3, 2, 1. Zinago. Last one. And then the rest are filled. Zinago.com. Demon Lazigo. Where is the bits? Oh, dude. Come on, man. What am I, fucking crazy? Wait, where's Clothis? Why do I have Zinago when it should be Clothis, right? No, wait, Clothis is the odd man out. Thassa, Perforos Phoenix. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there's Crufix. Am I mad? Wait, what am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3. Athreos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, well, apparently I've got somebody's name wrong. Kiranos. What am I? Fucking crazy? Kiranos. I don't know how I got that wrong. Oh well. Kiranos. That's some crazy autocorrect, y'all. Alright, Kiranos for the win. Red green. Devotee. Once on your turn, when you hit a creature with a weapon attack, you can deal an extra d6 lightning damage. Sure. Attack plus 1d6 lightning. And then reroll intelligence. No, we have Kiranos here. We did this one already. I was like, what the hell? So this was... What the hell? I am going mad. Give me a second. We got to figure this out. So who we got? Let's go one by one. Athreos. Ithfara. Erebos, Heliod, Eros, Karametra, Kinos, Kiranos, excuse me. Clothis. Crufix. No, I guess Clothix is the one. Okay, let's look up Clothis. Make sure it's the right one. Red green. Okay. Clothis. Red green. Okay. So weird. I have no idea where Xenagos came from. Also red-green. Oh, there must have been a thing that happened. Legendary Planewalker. Huh. Not actually a legendary enchantment creature. Is less than 7. Isn't a creature. Huh. Interesting. Okay, I guess I wasn't completely wrong. So with an S. That's so weird. Okay, it is what it is. So Clothis is here. That's so weird. Okay. It is what it is. And Clothis is here. See, I don't know enough about Theros. So no, I was using the wrong god. Anyway, we all have our weaknesses, right? Champion, devotee. Command. Cast command. 10 is clairvoyance. Allowing you to intuit and tug and pull of destiny. You can't be surprised. If not encapped, you can't be surprised. Which in the 5e24 game engine now means that you can never have a disadvantage on your initiative roll. And then strength of wisdom. That makes sense. +2. There we go. There, cool. Okay, so we got those all plotted out now. I'm pretty happy with them. Excuse me for a second while I fix my chair. Cool. Okay, so we got those all plotted out. It's time for me to take a sip of water. Thank you, Nightmare. Hey, what's up? Have you made any custom channel divinity options granted via Piety to make clerics and paladins more flexible? Have I made any custom channel divinity options granted via Piety? Via Piety specifically? No. But we will. But I at the beginning of the session, or towards the beginning of the session, I was talking about the aura enchantment. That and I think what we would do is expend hit dice as mana, and depending on how much mana you expend, well, your piety is going to set how much you can spend at a time. At 51 piety as a 17th level or a 17th level character, you'd be able to spend 9 hit dice to summon an aura up to 250 feet in size, and at 9th level, when we get to 27 devotion, we would then be able to, instead of having an emanation enchantment around us, instead you could convert it and summon it in as a creature, a summoned creature that would scale from 1 to 9, much like all the other summoned creatures can when you have a single creature that you can control. So you'd have your aura effect that you can surround yourself with, or you could collapse that into an avatar, your god's avatar that you can then are allied with and can command. The team could dump their action economy into the avatar, similar to how you can use your action economy in my Spelljammer mechanics to have the vehicle act as all your team can dump action economy into firing weapons and movement and stuff like that. I think I would want to set up, I think what I would end up doing is setting up a similar circumstance where players can if they have sufficient piety, they could share dumping hit dice into summoning creating the enchantment, and then decide collectively as a team if they want to then convert it into a creature or not. While inside the emanation effect, like you'd pick a point, and then you'd have a 10-foot emanation. So if basically a 10-foot space that would be occupied, anybody inside that 10-foot space will benefit from what that aura enchantment is. And then as it scales up, the enchantment will become better and offer more options until we hit 5th at 9th level. It would then be able to become a creature that could then expand up to 250 feet in size, which is the same size and scale as a Spelljammer ship has inside the Spelljammer book. So I think that jives. We're going to have the individual benefits of being devoted to a specific god. As we gain piety, we can assign points towards one or a different color depending on how your god is set up. So Perforos is only red. So as you gain piety, you would be able to automatically convert spells. You'd gain like one first level spell if it's normally not red. If you're devoted to, if you have at least 3 piety and Perforos, you can make that white spell red, or you can make that green spell red, or whatever. If it's not normally red, you could make it red. You can prepare it as red because of your devotion to Perforos. By the time you get up to 45, then pick an 8th level spell, and if it's not normally red, you can prepare it as red. I'm also thinking like while you're inside of the aura, all mana can be considered red, even if it normally isn't, so that you would always be able to, like, if you're operating inside of an aura enchantment for Perforos, you effectively, as long as you're willing to cast, as long as you have red mana in your mana pool, you'd be able to cast any spell as though all of them were red. I think I like that idea. And then, of course, you have the creature conversion at 9th level. That's like a real low-end, easy effect to be able to pull off. I'm also playing with ideas that as you continue to grow in power, like spellcasters, they'd have this spell conversion process. For martial powers, I'm thinking you gain a bonus 1st rank power, 2nd rank power, 3rd rank power. It would have to be 1st rank power, and then 2nd rank power, and then 3rd rank power, 4th rank power, and then any rank power that you want, up to 4th level and down, like up to 2nd level or less. But since that only stilts every other, and the character, like the spellcasters, would gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 up through there. What I'm thinking instead is go with 1st level, and then here, like while with 9 devotion, you can sustain an additional rank worth of sustained powers, for instance. And then you gain 2nd rank power with 15 devotion. At 21 devotion, you can now sustain an additional 2 ranks of power at the same time. So as a 7th level character, you'd be able to sustain up to 4 ranks of power as opposed to 2 ranks of power. That might be broken. But I like the, I like that idea because, like, you'd be able to, if you stack that up, yeah, that's a little bit overpowered. It's a little bit too powerful. I like the idea of being able to, like, not worry about concentration or having more generous sustained powers while inside of an enchantment aura. So, like, you gain the benefit of, like, being able to cast all spells as red if it's a Perforos or enchantment. And in addition, you would be able to have like 1 additional level of concentration maintained for you while in that effect. And then at 3rd level, if you're a martial character, you'd have an additional rank of sustained powers while you're inside that effect. And since the effects can get ridiculously large at higher level, like at this point, it's like, yeah, we're affecting the entire battlefield with this effect, unless of course you're traveling in Nyx, which is effectively wild space. In which case you'd be dealing at 550 or 500 foot scale, and this would be much less effective. But at the ground level, you'd either be able to summon this titan that could attack cities and other gods, or you would have this massive blanket area that while you're inside that effect, you can have all of this additional power. You can maintain concentration on shitloads of stuff, and your mana pool becomes basically becomes monocolored. Like, those are some really good mechanical benefits for the 5e game engine. I'm still sussing it out, though. And obviously, if you're not using color mana, if you're just using descriptive magic, where it's just like I cast a spell and I just spend mana, it's going to be whatever color I want it to be. I'm just going to change the description. That has a lot less mechanical impact. It becomes much less of a mechanical benefit. But if we always assume that color mana is being implemented, then the mechanical flavor stays really strong. Even if even if you slide back to a weaker means, you'd still be able to depict, like, while I'm in this Perforos aura enchantment, all my magic is red, and you'd be able to at least narrate it that way, even if you aren't specifically devoting each point of mana to a specific color. But if you are, this is a massive mechanical spike because it effectively just makes your mana pool one color. So that's really useful. That's really useful. It's a cool idea. Yeah, and if it's within an area of effect, it's kind of like a hallow spell. Or like, that hallow spell, like you can dump a hallowed spell into a dungeon. This would effectively be like having a hallowed space that's moving with your characters. So I kind of like that idea. And that actually might be a really good idea, to tack on Hallow. What level spell is Hallow? Isn't that a 4th level spell? Let's check that out. But I think it'll work because it's inside the Theros campaign, where it revolves around the gods. The creatures that you're fighting are also going to have piety with the god, and it would basically be whatever your CR range is, whatever your rank, like up to 1 CR is first rank, up to 5th rank, up to 5th CR 5 is second rank, up to CR 2, 3, 4. Was it 2, 3, 4? 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it's up to 1, and then it's 5, and then 9, 13, and then anything that's 14 plus is 5th rank. So when you have like a CR 14 creature, it's going to be treated as though it has 51 piety with the god that represents it. So like if you summon a black dragon, it's going to have like 51 piety with like Erebos or Mogi or Krufix or whoever it is that summoned it. That's who it would have power with. So yeah, so there's all these potentials of having these clashing auras overlapping and affecting each other all the time. So if you theme your campaign around champions of the gods, then all this stuff makes a lot more sense and ever presence. So when you go into a boss fight, you can expect them, like once you get to 9th level plus, when you get into a boss fight, there's a chance that they're going to summon an avatar of the god that they have piety with. That would then be the mob of creatures would be able to pool their action to have that god creature being hostile towards your characters. So you would want to you'd want to summon your own gods, and if you have a diverse color pool of characters in your group, each of them could Digimon style summon their own avatar to have this mob effect of these different gods operating at the 50 or 500 foot scale, fighting out these gods just like you would with Spelljammer ships in the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration document that I have down below. So like it would be able to work at those same scales. And again, if you're traveling through Nyx, size and space don't really matter that much anymore. But having this aura effect that you could like encapsulate yourself could like create a bubble of safety. Like your god's avatar is protecting you as you travel through Nyx, so that and then we could establish like each god has a realm that exists inside of Nyx, like a small moon would exist inside of wild space inside of a closed system. So Theros space would effectively have the main world of Theros that we're operating on surrounded by Nyx, with kind of like with Eberron having all these moons that are in orbit representing the different gods' celestial bodies. And when you travel to that celestial body, you actually enter the realm of that god, traveling through the Nyx to get there. So you could have all sorts of Spelljammer type encounters represented by different gods that are coming at you through the Nyx, since that's the spirit realm. So that's an idea anyway. That's kind of where I'm thinking all this can end up going towards. So that would be a separate supplement that we would end up building out, like detailing all these things and like entering these aspects of play. I don't necessarily want to map out 15 different fucking moons. I mean, Heliod would just be in the sun, so I mean, there's that. But so 14, I guess. But still, I don't necessarily want to go that deep into it. There's no money in building out a Spelljammer Theros campaign. It would be a 1.5-year project, and it wouldn't yield anything of real. Like, it'd be a very niche audience. But the potential is there. These are things that could be done. So we could at least hint at them, maybe build a toolkit around it, provide the guidance, and then leave it up to the DMs to create each of the realms. Perhaps. Hey, what's up? These epic ranges would also work for a demigod as a character concept. Yeah, I think so. So okay, great. So that's where this stuff is sitting at. What time is it? Where are we at? It's 8 o'clock now. I've been at this for about an hour and a half. That's not so bad. So where we're at inside of this, because we changed the structure of the Piety, Renown, credit system to be on a 5-point scale instead of a 4-tier scale, aligning with 1, 5, 9, 13, 17 as we do. We now have a gap for all of the gods at the 13th level, which could be a 4th rank power, a 6th or a 7th level spell, or some sort of an effect that we see on creatures that have a CR up to 13. So those are potentials, but I don't feel like that's where we're going to get today. Like I could start dreaming these ideas up, but I think I would rather let that slow roast for a little while to see how that stuff sets in. I feel like we're coming to a conclusion. So let's see. I'm going to be back tomorrow at lunchtime to continue working on this, to continue working on this or something else. But what I think we're going to do tomorrow, because I've been wanting to do it for a while, and everything else is resolved, I want to start working on Mage Tower rules, because I think at the playtesting, for instance, we in the past months we've had to skip a couple sessions here and there because we didn't have enough people show up to play inside of the mega dungeon as a team. But with the Strixhaven Mage Tower idea, it's 3v3 teams, or it could be a 2v2 team, or an oppress a 1v1. So like if we only had like say 2 people that showed up and we couldn't actually play, we could have Mage Tower athletes in the Strixhaven setting, and then run 2v2. Like if 2 people show up, then you could have a team of players that are 2, and then the DM could have a team of 2 NPCs as a team, and then you can just play a match of Mage Tower and just fuck around and play test that stuff to see if that's fun. So I think it would be valuable for us to finish building out Mage Tower rules sooner than later. So if we run into a problem of not having enough people show up, we can resolve that. And if enough people, like if we have 4 or 6 people that want to play, hey, we've got more people that want to play than we have space in the mega dungeon. Do you guys want to play a couple 3v3 matches of Mage Tower? And then we could do that and have PvP matches of people scoring points in a sport instead of fighting in a dungeon. That way, if our population of people that want to play test and all the stars align and we have a shitload of people that show up, we don't have to say no to anybody. Instead, we can just have teams and we can just play sports for a little bit. I think there's value to that. So what we'll do tomorrow is we'll officially start Mage Tower mechanics. So this is something I've been wanting to do for a while now, and I haven't been able to justify the time because of all the other subclass, class, spell, and power things that we needed to update. But this Piety benefit system is going to take a little while for us to complete. So the next natural step is to build out the actual rules of Mage Tower for 5e PvP combat as a sport. So I'm looking forward to that. So what's next for Piety? Find 39-point benefits
for all 15 gods. Lock, resolve, scale the enchantment, aura, mechanics, create god avatar, stat blocks, scaling from 5th level spells to 9th level spells, and resolve, scaling between spellcasting, full spellcasters, full casters, and martial powers. These are the 4 points that we need to resolve for the piety system to be completed. So that's something that is not a priority at all. I don't think I want to include the renown credits and piety systems in the core mechanics update for the spell point system. I think I want to keep that simply just around duration, concentration, subclasses, and spells and spellcasting. Like just the basic tenets that are already inside the core mechanics book that we have published already. And instead just update that for 2024. Update Knights and Tricksters for 2024. Readdress Elemental Key as a half-casting progress for just monks in general, not necessarily Elemental Key per se. Potentially even just pulling that, or just leaving it be, letting it founder. Because I eventually want to do Elemental Magic as an alternate paradigm from the Color Magic system. We were talking about that on Saturday during playtesting, and I want to build that out. So the Elemental Key book has a purpose. I might just dumb it down so it's just elements instead of color. Well, I guess I could leave the color mana aspect to it. Sure, why not? So I guess I could just leave that book as it is and just update the monk with the 2024 mechanics of monk that we've implemented instead, just to translate it. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then Universal Spell Points and High Magic doesn't need a lot of alterations, but we're going to update it for 2024 anyway. So USP, Elemental Key, Knights and Tricksters, core mechanics. Spell Point Warlocks needs to be updated. So that's the 5 core books that exist in the set. The revised Color Magic Spell Point variant, the revised Color Magic spell list becomes redundant because we're going to incorporate that into the core mechanics. But it'll be good to have as a standalone coupon thing, I guess. Since it is pay what you want, it basically just reduces the cost of the bundle if you pick it up already. So there's no hurt there. And we can update it with the 2024 spell list to replace what's in there. That would be appropriate to do. And then from there, Spell Point Sorcerers, Spell Point Artificers, Martial Powers, Ravnica, Strixhaven, Theros, which we were talking about earlier today. And then I guess I'm doing Lorwyn in January 2026. We're going to make a Lorwyn book. I seriously doubt they're going to do anything with color mana at that time either, because they haven't done anything with the other 3 books. Why would they start now? But if they do, I'll be fascinated to see it. But I don't anticipate it. So that would mean we'll eventually need to do some sort of renown, piety, credit, similar stacking devotion system for Lorwyn as well. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Thanks a lot, man. Some mascots in Mage Tower. Thanks, man. I think you're right about Spelljammer and Theros being a long shot. Yeah, that's just, yeah. That's so in the far rim of things. But yeah, rebuilding Monk. I like that design decision that we made here. Okay, so we're basically in bonus time at this point, so I'm just gonna ramble about shit. Because I updated this. Because Thursday when I was supposed to be doing this, my internet crashed and I couldn't go online and play. But I still needed to get the work done. So in the downtime, I went ahead and just implemented the thing. So first off, for those that don't know, the Scion is in here.
So, ooh, that's right. We need to come back and look at the psionic feats and update that, but we won't do that today. We'll leave this on the chopping block. We'll get to it eventually. Actually, I want to reduce the size of that font. Right. So, let's get back up into the martial power stuff. So because for those that don't know, let's get on the same page. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Let's grab this. Drop it in here. Okay, so for the unindoctrinated, we got a bunch of people hanging around. So this will be new tech for some people, and just a reminder for those that are already indoctrinated. So welcome to the mix, guys. Martial powers. So this converts the martial power system inspired by Book of the Nine Swords from 3rd edition and reinforced by the martial powers expansion books in 4th edition. The barbarian, fighter, monk, and rogue become half-casters with an alternate magic system called martial powers that scales from level 1 to 4. 4 at 13th level is the cap. But then you can like upcast to 5 mana at 17th level. Each rank of power, just like the mana system that we use, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. First rank power, first level spell. Either one of them costs 1 mana. Up to 5th rank, or the effect of a 5th level spell for a half caster, that's 5 mana to channel that ability or cast those spells. So the paladin and the ranger and the artificer are already half casters, but what this system does is it gives the barbarian, the fighter, the monk, and the rogue, the martial characters, this power system. So martial powers, and we have all the rules, basically like spell casting from the player's handbook. We have all the rules on how to utilize powers, how to channel them, targeting, duration, all that stuff is in here. And there's essentially 5 different disciplines of powers, and then they have meta powers, which are basically like cantrip effects that you can prepare but don't cost mana to use. So the disciplines, there's 5 different disciplines, which are exploits, which that either alter action economy used or alter die rolls by expending mana. There's maneuvers, which are like spell-like abilities that require an action or a bonus action to utilize. Exploits don't require any actions. They're part of an action, like bonus attack. You make a weapon attack as a bonus action. Some classes can do that, like the monk can just do that at first level. But if you aren't a monk, and you aren't, say, a berserker barbarian, then you could expend 1 point of mana, and as doing such during your bonus action, you'd spend a point of mana, and now you can make an attack. Which for, like, say, a rogue is super useful, so you can get that extra attack in if you need it. Nick, by the way, is also very useful for a rogue, getting an extra attack in. But that Nick would, if you're dual wielding as a rogue, that dual wielding style uses a bonus action. So this would allow you to get like that bonus action if like you're wielding a glaive, like a 2-handed weapon, or like a bow, crossbow. It's a way to cheat in an extra attack. So it in and to itself doesn't actually require an action to use it. When you take an action, you're modifying that action. Or when you make a die roll, you modify that die roll by expending mana and then changing accordingly. Let's see. So those are, and then maneuvers are spell-like abilities that can be channeled instead of cast. Channeled as an action or a bonus action. You can do it twice in the same turn. You can use the same power twice during your turn as an action, as a magic action or a bonus action. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you chain together different powers. Reactions, self-explanatory. When a condition arises, you spend the mana, spend your reaction, do the thing. Strikes are like 2014 Paladin Smite spells. If you hit somebody, you can dump mana to ramp the damage, just like Eldritch Smite still can from the Warlock. The Warlock can still smite like a Paladin could. Even though the Paladin can't anymore. It's crazy unfair. So we fixed all that for the Paladin, and we nerfed down the Warlock to have the same sort of action economy to utilize that power. Unless you implement this strike system, and then if you use your bonus action as a Paladin, it does more damage than what strikes would normally be able to do. So virtually any of these half-casting or martial classes can use strike powers now, but the Paladin can do a hell of a lot more damage because you can burn your bonus action to get free mana to dump into ramping the effect. Up to 8 mana on like 80 extra damage, like 8d10 damage on a smite. Not bad. It'd actually be 9d10 because you get a bonus. Yeah, you get the bonus anyway. 8d10. That's right. Sustained powers are like concentration auras that you don't concentrate on, but you can stack them. So at 17th level, you've got 5 ranks of power. So you could have 5 first rank powers, or like a 4th rank and a first rank, or like a 2nd rank and a 3rd rank, or a 3rd rank and 2 first rank, whatever combination up to 5. So these things are designed to work together. So that's the basic system, but this is all built off of the half-casting progression. So the Paladin, the Ranger, and the Artificer, as well as the Warlock, can, instead of learning spells, instead of preparing spells, can prepare these powers. So like you could have an all martial Ranger. That's kind of cheating. You still have this mana resource and you're still spending on stacking level powers. It's just not spell casting. You could prepare a bunch of spells, or you could prepare a bunch of martial powers, or you could do both, depending on how you just want to bend and blend your character. So it gives you a ton of flexibility there. But then we had the issue of disparage, and where you have, like, say, the Eldritch Knight for the fighter. The Eldritch Knight would traditionally have its 3rd casting, first level spells at 3rd, and then 2nd at 7th, 3rd at 13th, and then 4th at 19th level. With this system being implemented, you've got the half-casting progression for the fighter, the rogue, like Eldritch Knight and Arcane Trickster, has a mana pool already and has all these powers that they could spend mana on already. Giving them spells effectively just makes a fighter version of the half-cast, like the hybrid caster, like Paladin or Ranger or Artificer. By taking Eldritch Knight, you're basically just getting a shittier version of a half-caster. But all the half-casters are basically clocking in with the same mana pool, the same flexibility, the same number of prepared powers, and the same type of damage thresholds, give or take, that a fighter and a rogue would normally be able to do. So if we flip the script on that, instead what we can do is we can make an Eldritch Knight that, instead of having that wonky 3, 7, 13, 19 progression, we can instead make them off-casters. So instead of having full fluidity between, do I want to learn a shitload of powers or just stack up on 20 some odd spells and just run my character the way that I want to, by going Eldritch Knight, the bonus, like all the subclasses get bonus powers because all the casters get bonus spells, so it only makes sense that you get bonus powers. Plus it helps theme and flavor the subclass that you've chosen by always having these specific powers prepared. It's like, no matter what you choose to do with your character, you can always express them with their mana using these abilities. So that's kind of one of the reasons to give classes bonus powers or bonus spells. And they seem to have stepped back from that a little bit in 2024. Regardless of how redundant so many abilities are, they decide that some of them deserve bonus spells and some don't. Ironically, the Ranger often doesn't get bonus spells at all, even though the Paladin does get 10 bonus spells. And all the smite spells and smite abilities. It's like the Ranger is, again, getting shat on. So like, we definitely wanted to make sure that if the Ranger didn't get any spells, they get 10 powers. If they only got 5 spells, they got 5 powers to balance it. And if they got 10 spells, then you're one of the rare ones. Congratulations, you get 10 bonus spells. And then you can just prepare a bunch of powers if you want to. And of course, we got rid of Hunter's Mark and made that a class feature that doesn't require concentration. Just bonus action to switch targets, and then at 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, 20 give you these scaling effects to make the Mark of Prey class feature more and more effective as we scale up. But having said that, to that point, the Eldritch Knight now can get access to 5th level spells. You can freely prepare cantrips or 1st level spells. At 3rd level, you get 2 of them. At 5th, you get 2 more, which could be up to 2nd level. 9th level, you can get 2 more, which could be up to 3rd level. 2 more at 13th level, which could be 4th, and then 2 more, which could be 5th level at 17th. So you still end up with 10 bonus spells, which could be cantrips. But at 17th level, they could all be 5th level spells, but they're going to cost you 5 fucking mana a piece. And at 17th level, you've got 17 mana. So you're going to cast 3 5th level spells, and then it's basically exhausted. But at 17th level, you should be able to throw in all that. You can reduce the cost. We have cost reduction methods. It's like if you were to sacrifice using the action economy system. I love geeking out on this stuff. This is awesome. Kicking back up to the top, one of the mechanics that we have for martial powers, so that you could have that fantasy of just being able to perpetuate these, like people argue that battle masters shouldn't have a set of maneuvers that they can use. They can just use one at a time, or like one per turn, or you can only use one battle master maneuver at a time. And your die roll is what you do, and if I'm going to use my bonus action to use this maneuver, I should be able to use that maneuver infinitely. Well, we allow you to do that as well by sacrificing your action economy to generate temporary mana. Temporary mana is lost at the end of the current turn. So if you have one of the rare ways of being able to generate more than one reaction per round, you could, if you would have 3 reactions, you could sacrifice 2 of them, so you create 2 points of mana for free that you could then use with your 3rd reaction to teleport this guy into, if he tries to move, I teleport him instead, or whatever. I knock him prone as a reaction to him trying to get out of my opportunity, whatever. But bonus actions, at 1st level, you can sacrifice your bonus action for 1 free point of mana. At 9th level, you can sacrifice your bonus action to get 2 points of mana. And at 17th level, you can sacrifice your bonus action to get 3 points of mana. At 17th level, it's pretty arguable that if I have something I can do with my bonus action, I'm going to want to use it, because stuff at this level is dangerous. So we give you the option of reducing what you do each round to instead do more with what you have left. And in the end, it kind of balances out. Like Pointy Hat just recently posted a neat video breaking down how the rogue operates inside 5e24. Fun video. I like Pointy Hat. But he had made the point that the rogue gets their attack, and sure, it does 10d6 damage at top level, but at that top level, your fighter's attacking 4 times this round, and it's potentially doing more than 10d6 worth of damage. So it's kind of like 6 or a half dozen. Take your pick. And I kept that same philosophy in mind with that throughout the system. But using that same idea, if I'm sacrificing my bonus action to generate mana, that's allowing that'd be like my fighter sacrificing 2 attacks to deal an extra 3d6 damage on each. Or, as the rogue can do in the player's handbook, I'm going to sacrifice 6 of my sneak attack dice, and if I hit, you're going to make a saving throw, and if you fail, you're unconscious. And I can do that every turn that I have available to do sneak attack. So we have a knockout strike in here that you could do. It costs you 4 mana to use it, but you could generate that mana to be able to crack that off, the same as a rogue would be able to do that every round as well. So once you get around 13th to 20th level, you can have people that are trying to knock out opponents, but they get saving throws and legendary saves, but that's just chewing up their legendary saves so that they can't get banished, right? Like, if I have to worry about fending off being knocked out all the goddamn time, I'm not going to have a lot of legendary actions left over to keep you from teleporting me or disintegrating me or force caging me. Like, it's 6 or a half dozen. The math still works out. Your team is still using their resources to overcome ridiculous threats. And that's how we want the system to operate. It is a heroic RPG system. We're just creating more means of you being able to customize like MTG deck building, customize how your character operates, what sort of tactics do they emphasize, and how are you using your mana pool and your action economy along with it to be able to trigger these different effects. So given that, we've converted both the Eldritch Knight and the Arcane Trickster into off casters, basically like shorthand half casters, right? So they'll be able to cast up to 5th level spells at 17th level, just like the Paladin, the Ranger, and the Artificer can. But instead of potentially having like 30 some odd spells prepared, they've got a bunch of powers and up to 10 spells, and they're going to be expensive to use. Granted, if you're burning your bonus action, that 5th level spell is only going to cost you 2 mana. But when you look at a focus, there we are, thank you. But when we're looking at like a 17th level wizard that's got 70 points of mana, can also fling around, you know, like 14 5th level spells on a long rest, and chances are you're only going to have like 8 encounters before you take that long rest. Your character with your small short rest mana pool from your fighter is now basically keeping up with the full caster on what kind of mana resources they can throw at monsters and encounters during the day. And we've been implementing this in our playtest, the gritty realism. Generally, I like to pace adventures so you have 2 or 3 encounters per short rest. And so that's your budget for the day. In a lot of like modern D&D games, you might have 2 or 3, maybe even only 1 encounter per day. So in a mana system where you have ridiculous resources available to your character, using the gritty realism system slows your flow down, because your long rest casters might, like if you go, we're currently playing with every 2 days, you have 2 days of short rest, and then long rest, short rest, long rest. The normal system has it paced to be 6 days of short rest and then a long rest. That's 7 days. And that's considering the mana pool. So what we're looking to do is balance the mana usage versus the amount of encounters that you have per day or per break. So if your long rest is at the end of a week and you get 6 short rests until then your short rest resource, like the monk and all the martial characters here, they're going to get 120 mana plus the long rest, which will also give you 120 mana. That's 140 mana over the course of a week, versus the sorcerer. Like the sorcerer has 100 mana over the course of a long rest, so over the course of a week it has 100 mana, and then it has its innate sorcery ritual that gives it another 10 mana back. So it has 110 mana over the course of a week, versus your martial characters that have a total of 140 mana over the course of a week, and they can generate a shitload of free mana, so it's more like around 360. So that means that over the course of a week, we want to have the spellcasters punch out about 360 mana, which means that we want them with 100, say around 100 mana, because most of the full casters have a way of getting extra mana into their budget. So it's more like around 90 mana. So that would be like 90 mana divided by, well, 360 is probably a little bit bold. Maybe like more like around 300. But that would mean roughly, if we go 2 days and then a long rest, 2 days and then a long rest, 2 days and a long, if we're pacing at that pace, basically every 2 or 3 days, a short rest caster is going to have expended about the same amount of mana as a full rest caster that can get spell level worth of mana back on a short rest. So, and if you're using gritty realism, it wouldn't be you can do this once per long rest. It would be once per short rest, or when you take a short rest, you can get spell level worth of mana back. So a 19th level full caster would get 10 mana back on a short rest, plus their 100 mana-ish on a long rest. So that would be about 160 mana that they would have over the course of a week, as opposed to the 140 mana that a short rest caster would have, plus the bonus mana So a proper pacing is probably actually every 2 short rests equals a long rest. That would end up being like 60 every 3 days, 120, 150 after 140 mana after 7 days for the short rest caster, and for 7 days on a long rest caster. If it's every 3 days is a long rest, it would be 20, it'd be 10, 20, 80, that's 100, then 10, 20, 80, that's 200, and then another 10, that's 210. That's not too far off from the 140 plus bonus mana during combat that the martial characters get. So that would actually kind of balance out. It's a little wonky because like Bastion turns are supposed to be 7 days, so that math doesn't quite work out. If I were to rebuild the 5e game engine, I would probably hard code gritty realism into the mana system, and then pace out a Bastion turn to be like 5 days, so that everybody would be able to pace on the same, instead of having short rest versus long rest resources, probably have everybody on a short rest resource. Like replace the bard, cleric, druid, wizard, scion, sorcerer with the warlock model, and then use the invocations off of the warlock for like meta magic for the sorcerer, or like swapping spells for the wizard, for divine like channel divinity options for the cleric, wild shape options for the druid, bardic inspiration options for the bard. Like those that invocation resource coming off the bard, plus the short rest mana that they get from pack magic, and the long rest mana that they get from Mystic Arcanum, all of that curves together really, really well to be able to have a really diverse set of options to be able to build character classes out of. You can, I've already ran a campaign from level 1 to 20 with a druid, using the warlock chassis and using invocations for various wild shape forms, and it worked fucking fantastic. It's really, really good because everybody else on the team was on short rest, so she wasn't so inclined to take short rest. Sure, she got some wild magic back when she took a short rest. She could wild shape more, but she could wild shape for such a long period of time that it was kind of silly. So she wanted having a short rest mana system where she could take invocations to give her alternate simic abilities, and then be able to burn mana from her short rest pool to be able to trigger those different effects. Instead of having to burn a wild shape form to change my shape, I could spend 2 mana and I could change my shape instead. That's where we got that fluidity between 2 points of mana and the druid wild shape form that we have in the book here already. But all that stuff allows for a warlock. So if I were to rebuild 5e from the ground up as my own system, then I would basically use warlock as the base chassis, and then you could use options to be more martial, or choose more options to be more primal magic, divine magic, or arcane magic, and have basically those 4 directions that you can move in. And then I would make an elemental theme, so it'd be air, earth, fire, and water. So you'd have 4 different power sources with 4 different elements that aren't, like, earth wouldn't be martial or whatever. You have a martial character that could express himself in any of the elements, just like you could have a divine character express themselves in any of the elements, but it would all be elemental divinity. So if I'm an earth cleric, it'd have a very Dark Sun sort of vibe. An earth cleric is going to have like Sunas the Earth Mother or whatever would be your goddess that you worship. So there would be factions of good and evil inside of like law and chaos within the elements themselves to be able to create that diversity. Fire mages versus earth mages, earth primal versus air primal, like these different divinities. But anyway, I'm just pontificating. That's the kind of role-playing game that I would build around a mana system using the 5e game engine, where you can. Then we'd have to retool all the spells and stuff so that you'd be able to use your action economy to generate mana to cast these things, or to trigger these powers at no cost, or to drastically reduce their cost when you do it, so that you can customize your characters to be Gish or just divine or just primal, or like have a Gishy primal, which would be like a barbarian druid sort of werewolf lycanthrope type creature blend effect, all being triggered off of elemental magic. So yeah, anyway, those are ideas. So so that catches you guys up. Eldritch Knight and then the Arcane Trickster as well. They now scale from 1 to 5 at 3, 5, 9, 13, 17 at the 5th level spells. So your fighter can become more like a ranger and a paladin, just like the paladin and the ranger are a lot more like all the other martial characters because they have access to those martial powers now as well. So everyone can, and one of the other kickers here is you can choose, the Eldritch Knight can choose Arcane, Divine, or Primal. So you could either go with a Druid list, you can go with a Cleric list, or you can go with a Wizard's list. And that's the kind of caster you are. So if you want to have an Assassin's Creed Holy Assassin type character, you can go down to Arcane Trickster and choose Divine Magic, and now your Arcane Trickster can heal himself, as well as like using smite abilities with sneak attack and shit like that. So a lot of fun options there. And then finally the Warlock, since we've been talking about and grandizing the Warlock so much here, let's just cap that off. And ooh, we went too far. Conclaves of Power. No, we're on the right path. Oh, it's Conclaves are for a Ranger. I forgot. Fey Wanderer, Scout, Warlock. Here we go. So we locked down and resolved that we've integrated just like with the spell point sorcerer we have down below. The spell point sorcerer can stack meta magic effects at only 1 mana worth of meta magic at 2nd level, but then at 5th it's 2 mana, up to 5 mana at 17th level, where you could stack 5 1 mana meta magic effects on top of the same spell, or like 2 2nd level meta magics and a 1st level meta magic. Just like with sustaining powers, you can cast your 7th level spell and then stack on an extra 5 mana on top of it to modify with a bunch of meta magics. Or your sorcerer could just have a fuck ton of cantrips and then prepare all of the, because the sorcerer combines prepared spells and prepared meta magic, and there's 23 meta magic options in the playtest document here. So you could have a character that has bonus spells from their subclass, like 7 cantrips, and then all of their prepared spells that they get in general could just be fuck tons of meta magic, and all you do are cast cantrips and your bonus spells, and you just modify the shit out of it. So that's a really fun way that you can manipulate how the sorcerer works. Well, with the Warlock, long rest mana, you can't with this system in general, all classes, you can't cast 6th level or higher spells with mana that you gain on a short rest. So like a monk can't use any of its mana pool to cast 6th level plus spells. It can be used to cast up to 5th level spells. So the Warlock gets its Pact mana, which is the same progress as the martial characters, 1 per level that you get back on a short rest. And you can you can sacrifice your bonus action to generate temporary mana that can be used to trigger martial powers, and can be used to cast any spells that you know up to 5th level. You're not required to use your highest level spell slot. At 7th level, you have access to 4th level spells. You got 7 mana. You could spend 4 mana to cast a 4th level spell. You could spend 3 mana to cast a 3rd level, 1 mana to cast a 1st level spell. You could cast a 1st level spell and spend 3 mana on it to upcast a 3rd, just like a real spellcaster could. But your throttle, your restraint is that it's packed mana on a short rest, and you don't get 20 of it until 20th level. So like you should have 4 5th level spell slots at 17th level, but for us we only have 17 of it. So you could cast 3 5th level spells and be left over with a 2nd level spell that you can cast, but you have all this fluidity of casting spells at whatever level you want. So you've got a lot more diversity. You can afford to lose a little bit here. And then you've got the Mystic Arcanum points that click in at 11th level when you get access to a 6th level spell. As you can see here, you get 6 Arcanum points. So you spend all your Arcanum points, you cast a 6th level spell. At 13th level, you get a 7th level spell, so you can see you've got 13 mana. So that's the cost of a 6th level spell, and a 7th level spell equals 13. But you can also see here in between, like, you get 9, right? What are you supposed to do with those extra 3 points? Well, while Pact mana can't be spent on Arcanum points can be spent on Pact mana. And this is already in the Point Warlock book that I have published on DMsGuild, which is linked down below. It describes all this in detail, and it's really a good system. But this lets you, like, if you don't care about 6th level spells, but you have the Arcanum points anyway, that's just basically an extra 6 first level spells, or an extra 5th level spell and a first level spell, or an extra 3 second, whatever, however you want to burn that mana. You can combine it with your Pact mana. You just don't get it back until a long rest. And then on top of that, we have your powers. So we have our max rank of power scales just like with everyone else, so it's Gishy. So while you would be able to cast a 5th level spell at 9th level, you have half casting progression for your martial powers, just like the sorcerer has half casting progression for meta magic. 1 at 1st, 2 at 5th, 3 at 9th, 4 at 13th, and then 5 at 17th. We get rid of the Eldritch Smite invocation, and instead we replace it with the 30 smite powers that you can prepare. So when you're preparing your spells as a warlock, all the classes in the game get 23 prepared spells, except the sorcerer gets 25, and the warlock only gets 16. But the warlock gets gets 10 invocations on top of that. So you actually end up with 26 of them, because you could spend, each of these invocations could be gain a bonus power. So if you wanted all of your spells to remain spells, and you didn't care about any particular invocations, like instead of Eldritch Smite, you could pick a smite spell that you like, or like one of the smite powers, and then every time you gain a level, you can change what that smite power is. Or you could pick up 10 smite powers, but it'll scale 1 to 5 on a half casting progression, just like the fighter would or the rogue would. So this all stays in balance. So this becomes a very, very gishy class now. More, it's like it's ultra gish, because you still have the full casting progression, but you also have the half casting stacked on for the martial power system with the increasing power die. So it works exactly like a martial character would when you're using powers, and it works exactly like a full caster warlock you would expect would when you're casting spells, but you can do both at the same time. And so we've updated the invocations. I'm currently playing with ideas of like taking power effects and applying them to cantrip spells that you cast. Playing with it. I haven't quite locked that down yet. I don't know if we'll necessarily have that for the Spellpoint Warlock update that we do. But it's an idea that we're playing with, so it's out there. But I just wanted to spend a few minutes of time, because we didn't have that time last week because my internet crashed, to spend this time to look at how these things are playing out. And so all of these classes are updated. Everything in the martial power system is officially done. All the subclasses for all the full casters further down below. Everything from 2024 character building is currently updated now. The only thing that's lagging are those little naggy bits on the Piety system that we want to update, which is an alternate optional system for Theros only. Anyways, who cares? So to summarize, I'm going to be back at lunch tomorrow, probably around 2:30 Seattle time. That's in about 17 and a half hours from now. I'll be back on. I'm going to start working on Mage Tower mechanics. I'll be back tomorrow morning in the AM in about 9 hours or so. We'll be on continuing to work on the Ader Academy landscape painting that we've been building. And I do artwork Monday through Friday in the mornings. And then I do game design like this on Mondays, Thursdays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. So Mondays and Thursday nights like this, I do a 2 or 3 hour game design stream. And then lunches on Tuesdays and Fridays, about an hour, because I'm on lunch break. And then I do playtesting on my Discord channel on Saturday mornings. If people are interested in playtesting, jump into the Discord. You're most welcome to be there. Check out my books that are on the DMsGuild. A lot of them are published here. Here's my Discord community you can jump in on. Patreon if you want to support me that way. Twitter, where I'll always post when I go live if you want to check that out. Here's the books. They all have free previews. enjoy. If you want to buy some of them because you think they're awesome, God bless you. I appreciate it. And other than that, I'm going to just say, hey, if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. And I'm going to cut out of here for the night, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. So thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. I really appreciate it. Oh, wait. Wait. My final thoughts on that was, this is all spawned by Monk. Sorry, I missed the point. The point is that here, and let's go take a look at it since we can. Let's crack open the MTG system here. And then we'll go down to the Elemental Keybook. So when we built the Elemental Keybook, it was focusing specifically on, for color magic, elements tend to be red, green, and blue. Red, blue, green. But we also offered the 4 magic paradigm, the 4 aspects of air, earth, fire, and water. It's just that fire is red and water is blue. And instead of using a tree, I just put a leaf, but whatever, I might change that. But the elements, the 4 elements in the 4 elemental systems, air, earth, fire, and water, the way that this system works, it uses the same mana system, but we rebuilt the way of the 4 elements to be a half-caster class. So it's level 1 to 5, at 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, just like the Paladin, Artificer, and Ranger are. We picked out cantrips, 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd, 4th, and 5th level spells to gain. Here's all the names of stuff that they had from the player's handbook, and we added a whole bunch more. So it's a list of 50. And then not only do we have the color translation, like what's this one? The Fanes of the Fire Snake technique that was described in the player's handbook. That's a red spell, right? Because it's fire, it's red. But if we're using Elemental Key, air, earth, fire, and water, the Fire Snake spell is obviously a fire spell, while Earth Tremor is an earth spell. Fog Cloud spell, that's air and water. So you could use either air or water Elemental Key. And if you have 7th level, you've got 7 points of mana in your mana pool. You could have 5 points devoted to air and 2 points devoted to water. You could have a campaign where each character is devoted to 1 element. I usually recommend 2. You could break up your mana pool into 2 different aspects. You could just leave it as just generic key and just say I cast a fire spell and then spend your 2 points of mana. Then bam, you hit with a fire snake spell. Or I use 3 points that I have left. I'm going to use air mana, and I'm going to cast Hold Person, 2nd level spell. I cast Hold Person, and I reduce my mana pool by 2. I describe it as an air elemental effect. I'm just down 2 mana, but if I had a specific Airbender campaign that we were running, I would allow people to choose up to 2 elements. And if it is an Airbender campaign, it's unfair unless everyone agrees on session 0 that someone can be the special one and have access to all 4 elements. But now that character has to break up their elemental, their key, into 4 separate elements. It's a pain in the ass. So having no one be the avatar, leaving the avatar as an NPC or off screen, and having everybody just be a normal bender. As we move further and further through the campaigns, through the TV show, there's more diversity, more people are able to bend. It's becoming more common. I think allowing characters at some point to have access to 2 elements, it opens up a lot of fun options. Like you could say fire and water is blood magic, for instance, if you wanted to. So now you can have blood bending, and then you can have, you can just build out your custom list. When I cast a spell and I use air and when I use fire and water mana at the same time, I could apply the blood bending template or blood bending meta magic onto those spell effects. That's something that we could play with. But the point was that we have already built out the monk as a half casting scaffold. And it's been over a year, but we were having conversations about the Sun Soul monk, obviously being Boros in flavor, white and red magic. So the Sun Soul monk would have all of its normal Sun Soul class features, or maybe change some of them, but then give them a list
of 50 spells that make sense as white and red magic. So we'd be able to bend it in that direction. But like a Sun Soul Monk in the elemental system would probably be like air and fire, for instance. So there's a lot of different ways you can bend it. But the point is that instead of just like the elemental key book, like this is a standalone book that introduces the idea of 4 elements. So what I'll probably do is convert this to just being elemental key to lessen the confusion between color and elements, just make it elemental magic, and then do a separate book of monks as half-casters. So take all of the, like there's only 4 monks in the player's handbook now, so it wouldn't actually be that big of a lift, but do all 4 of them, like the Monk of Mercy would be like white and black mana, open hand would probably be like maybe like blue and white, maybe yeah, I think blue and white makes sense. I think what was the other one? The Elementalist would probably be like red and green. That would make a lot of sense. The Shadow Monk is black and blue. So like real Dimir vibes coming off of that guy. So then we could build out a list of 50 spells and cantrips and spells at the 5th level that you'd be able to spin white or blue, like white and red mana for the Sun Soul, or blue and black for the Shadow Monk. And we've actually done a lot of that work already. If you want to go into my playlists and my live stream playlists and look at the look at converting monks, there's a lot of stuff in there already that we'll be able to actually implement that in here. So we'd have Knights and Tricksters for the Eldritch Knight and Arcane Tricksters as listed in the player's handbook at the 4th level at 19th level. But then the Martial Powers book converts them differently into half-casters because everyone's a half-caster or a full caster now. And then off of that, we would then be able to extract all the class features that the monk gets from Martial Powers and then tack on the list of 50 spells that they can cast as well. And then if you aren't using Martial Powers, you just wouldn't worry about the stack of powers that they get, and instead you would just keep the class features in the spell list that we're introducing as a monk as a half-casting class. So that's the idea. So those are things. We'll do the Book of Artificer, we'll do the Book of Sorcerers, the Book of Monks, which we just described. Yeah. So a lot of stuff on the way. It's going to take a lot of time for us to get it all done, but I love it. I love doing this stuff. So that's where we're at. So now I'm done. I finally get the point across about the monk. So Rogue Assassin subclass can always deal poison damage in place of their weapons damage. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. All that stuff is just a ton of fun. So I love what the Martial Power system is capable of doing for the flavor of characters. It's super cool. Actually, I want to double check that real quick on the Assassin. Make sure that's still reading true. Archetypes. Yeah, poison damage. Yeah, you can always do poison damage. You get subtle channeling. You get the poisoner feat at 5th. You get the sharpshooter feat at 5th. You get poisoning strike at 9th level. You get first strike. First strike is great. Instead of rolling an initiative, you make an attack roll, and the result of your attack roll you use as your initiative. And in addition, you can hit somebody and deal damage to them. So it triggers all the assassin powers. So super easy. Assassinating damage allows you to basically re-roll any dice on your damage that you want to re-roll, if you want to re-roll any of them. Flicker Pounce allows you to teleport, hit, and then teleport away again. Efficient Power reduces the cost of assassinating damage by 1. And Flicker Pounce, Efficient Power is a feat also that reduces the cost. So instead of costing 3 mana, it would only be 2. Instead of assassinating damage costing 4 mana, it would only be 3. And then, of course, you can use your bonus action, and the rogue can use their movement to generate mana to reduce the cost of stuff. So, but yeah, super, Assassin is just such a cool flavor. There's so much cool stuff in here that makes the Assassin just super fucking cool. I'm really proud of that. It's really fun. All right, anyway, that's it for now, guys. I am out of here. I will see you all on the other side. Tomorrow morning we'll be back on. And then tomorrow at lunch, we'll be working on Strixhaven's Mage Tower as a PvP combat sport, where instead of killing each other in a gladiatorial match, the goal is to score points by throwing a mascot through a hole. And the mascot, I already know this, the mascot is treated as a thrown object that you're proficient with. It can also be treated as an ally, and it can be treated as an enemy for triggering spells and power effects. You can't kill the ball, but for sake of effects, it has 1 hit point. We're going to hash out all those rules and lock them down so that we can actually make a sport out of PvP combat in D&D and have a structured, like, hockey type goal system set up. It's like your goalie can use, like, the goal can also be treated as an object, ally, or enemy. It's like there's a whole bunch of defensive feats in, like defensive powers in here, and there's like interpose and other feats like that. So when you're when a striker throws the ball at the goal, you could roll damage to see how much damage a monk would have to deflect to reduce the damage to 0. If you can reduce the damage dealt by the ball on the goal, if you can reduce it to 0 damage, you don't score a goal because you prevent the shot. It's like that's like a really easy basic mechanic where you're emphasizing attacking the goal and dealing more damage, so ramping that damage with mana strike effects is important because you want to be able to overwhelm somebody's ability to reduce the damage to 0 or reflect it, or like I could put temporary hit points on the goal and you have to whittle through those temporary hit points before you can actually attack the goal. So dumping temporary hit points, like using rally or like false life or whatever as a protector goalie mage like Gish. Like you have to burn down the temporary hit points before you can hit the goal for it. It's like a ward effect. So there's a lot of really fun ways we can mess around with the system, and we'll figure all that stuff out together on stream, and we'll start doing that tomorrow at lunch. So if you think that shit's cool, I think it would be super cool if people were into doing PvP stuff like that, and like built characters to work synergize as a team versus another group of players that built their characters to synergize as a team and see which team outperforms the other. Has a very MOBA feel to it, but it's a VTT D&D game of 5e, and if we keep the matches fast and efficient, like maybe we can get through a match like in an hour or an hour and a half. And so if you have like a 3-hour game session, you can play 2 matches or 2 or 3 matches per game, per session. And you can have like you can have leagues and stuff where the players can play different characters every week representing a different team. Like we're playing Witherbloom versus Silverquill this week. It'll be Quandrix versus Warhold the following week. However you want to play it, there's a lot of different ways we can do it. A lot of different ways, but we'll hash all that out, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. So anyway, that's it. I will see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, one way or the other, hopefully. Cheers.